Let's talk about something real, something that doesn't get enough attention in a world obsessed with red flags. Everyone's warning you about what to avoid: toxic traits, manipulation, gaslighting. But let me ask you this: how will you know what to keep if no one ever teaches you what's actually worth keeping? Today, I want to talk about the two biggest green flags in dating. And no, I'm not talking about someone who simply texts back fast or pays for dinner. We're going deeper, we're going beyond surface level gestures, because a green flag isn't about how loud someone loves you in the beginning. It's about how consistently they choose you in silence, in stillness, when the world isn't watching. Green flag #1. Emotional maturity. If you've ever been in a relationship where you felt like you were teaching someone how to communicate, how to handle emotions, how not to spiral into blame games, then this green flag will change your entire life. Emotional maturity isn't about never being triggered. It's about knowing when you're triggered, why you're triggered, and choosing to respond instead of react. It's about someone who doesn't punish you for having emotions. Someone who listens when you're hurting, not to fix you, not to compete with your pain, but to understand you. An emotionally mature partner doesn't walk away during a conflict. They pause, they breathe, they reflect, they come back with accountability, not attitude. You don't have to beg for clarity. You don't have to decode mixed signals, because maturity speaks in clarity. It doesn't punish through silence. It doesn't manipulate through distance. It brings peace, not chaos. You want to know if someone's emotionally mature. Watch how they handle disagreement. Watch how they act when they're not getting what they want. Do they shut down? Do they get defensive? Or do they lean in with honesty? Someone who is emotionally mature knows that conflict isn't war. It's an invitation to grow together. That kind of person is a rare find. That's a green flag you never ignore. Green flag #2. Integrity over image. This one's even more rare, because we live in a world that's obsessed with how things look more than how things are. People are busy curating their lives for public approval, but here's the truth. Character is who someone is when no one is watching. A person with integrity won't impress you with rehearsed words. They will reveal themselves through aligned action. They don't need to post about loyalty. They live loyalty. They don't need to declare how honest they are. They embody honesty. Integrity means they make decisions that protect you, even when you're not there to see it. When someone has integrity, they don't play games with your heart. They don't breadcrumb you with attention just to keep you around. They don't flirt with options while pretending to be serious. They show up. They speak truth even when it's uncomfortable, even when it might cost them your approval. That's how you know you're with someone real. You'll feel the difference. The safest people are not the loudest. They're not the ones constantly trying to prove their worth. They are the ones whose presence gives you peace, not confusion, not anxiety, not second guessing, peace. Because when someone has integrity, their love doesn't make you question your value. It reflects it. And here's the most important part. When you meet someone with both emotional maturity and integrity, you'll feel seen, not managed. You'll feel heard, not handled. You'll feel safe to be vulnerable, not afraid to be real. But let me be brutally honest. You only recognize these green flags when you become them first. If you don't value emotional maturity in yourself, you'll be attracted to drama disguised as passion. If you don't honor your own integrity, you'll settle for potential instead of partnership. That's the truth most people don't want to face. So before you go looking for green flags in someone else, look in the mirror. Are you emotionally mature enough to communicate with clarity, even when your ego is bruised? Do you operate with integrity even when no one's watching? Because love isn't just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts what's healthy, the kind of person who no longer feels chemistry with chaos, who doesn't confuse inconsistency with excitement, who doesn't stay loyal to confusion just to avoid being alone, So next time you date, don't get distracted by aesthetics. Look deeper, listen carefully. Pay attention to how you feel after the conversations, not just during. Peace and consistency are not boring. They're sacred, and the people who can offer you that, those are the ones you build with. Recognize the green flags. Choose them, and most importantly, become them. Because in a world that glorifies the red, the green is what lasts. There's a difference between someone who loves the idea of you and someone who's emotionally capable of loving the real you. That difference isn't chemistry, it isn't charm, it isn't charisma, it's emotional maturity. And until you learn to recognize this, you will keep falling into cycles where you mistake intensity for intimacy and passion for partnership. Emotional maturity isn't loud. It's not about big romantic gestures or poetic declarations. It's the quiet strength that shows up when everything isn't going right. It's the ability to sit in discomfort without fleeing, to confront issues without deflecting, to stay when things are difficult instead of making you feel like your feelings are the problem. The truth is, most people are not emotionally mature. They date from a place of ego, fear, and fantasy. They're not looking to build something. They're looking to feel something. And when the high fades, they look for the next fix. That's why relationships break, not because people fall out of love, but because they were never ready to love in the first place. Emotional maturity is the green flag that reveals itself slowly, not in the beginning when everything feels good and new. But later, when the masks fall off, when insecurities come to the surface, when misunderstandings happen and needs begin to conflict, that's where maturity, or the lack of it, shows its true face. An emotionally mature person doesn't punish you for being human. They don't get uncomfortable with your vulnerability. They don't make you feel like you're too much for having emotions or too needy for wanting connection. They don't make you walk on eggshells every time you express something that's hard to say. Instead, they lean in, they listen, they validate, they regulate their own emotions so they can meet you in yours. They take a breath instead of throwing blame. They ask questions instead of making assumptions. They choose presence over pride. That's what maturity looks like. Not perfection, not always getting it right, but being willing to work through things without turning every disagreement into a battlefield. You see, when you're with someone immature, every minor conflict feels like a threat, a reason to run, a reason to withdraw love. But with someone emotionally mature, conflict becomes an opportunity. A chance to understand each other better, a chance to grow together instead of apart. They don't make you earn back safety after expressing discomfort. They don't weaponize your pain to protect their ego. They hold space for what's real, even when it's messy. That kind of love doesn't just heal, it transforms. And the reason this is such a crucial green flag is because emotional maturity becomes the foundation of everything else. Without it, even the most passionate connection will collapse under pressure, but with it, even difficult moments become bonding experiences, because a mature person knows that love isn't about constant harmony. It's about how you handle disharmony. Can you communicate when you're hurt without shutting down? Can you listen when your partner is struggling without making it about yourself? Can you hold yourself accountable without collapsing into guilt or shifting blame? These are not soft skills. These are relationship survival skills. And too many people are out here choosing pretty faces and financial stability without asking the most important question. Can this person sit in emotional discomfort with me without abandoning me? Emotional maturity looks like someone who can name their feelings without expecting you to fix them. Someone who can hear your feedback without lashing out. Someone who knows how to self-soothe so they don't project their chaos onto you. Someone who doesn't need to win the argument, they just want to win with you. They're not addicted to being right. They're committed to doing what's right for the relationship. And that level of maturity requires a deep level of self-awareness. It means they've done the inner work. It means they've looked at their past, faced their wounds, and taken responsibility for their patterns. They're not blaming an ex for every scar. They're not bringing unresolved trauma into your space and calling it just who I am. They're choosing growth over comfort. That's rare, that's sacred, because let's be honest, anyone can be good in the honeymoon phase. Anyone can make you feel special when it's easy, but who are they when it's hard? That's the real test, and that's why emotional maturity is not just a green flag, it's a non-negotiable one. When someone is emotionally mature, you don't have to guess where you stand. You don't have to decode mixed signals. You don't have to perform emotional gymnastics just to keep the peace. Peace is already there. It's baked into the dynamic because it's coming from the inside out, not from manipulation, not from control, but from a deep, regulated inner world. And here's the part that most people miss. If you're not emotionally mature yourself, you won't recognize it in others. You'll be bored by it. You'll label it as too calm, too predictable, and not exciting enough. Because when you're used to chaos, peace feels unfamiliar. When you've been conditioned to chase love, being chosen feels suspicious. And that's why healing is so important, because you attract what you believe you deserve. If you haven't done the work to raise your standards, you'll keep entertaining people who confuse inconsistency with passion. You'll keep mistaking emotional unavailability for mystery, and then you'll wonder why every relationship feels like emotional whiplash. Emotional maturity doesn't mean you never get upset. It doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. It means you own them. You apologize without being asked. You repair without resentment. You communicate not to attack, but to connect. And when both people in a relationship are emotionally mature, the entire energy shifts. There's no power struggle, no silent treatment, no cold wars, just clarity, just care, just consistency. That's the kind of relationship that doesn't drain you. It grounds you. It's so easy to be impressed by people who say the right things. But don't be fooled. Words are cheap. Watch how they behave when they're frustrated. Watch how they act when they're disappointed. Watch how they treat you when they don't need anything from you. That's where emotional maturity reveals itself. Not in curated conversations, but in the heat of the moment. Do they fight fair? Do they come back with accountability? Do they acknowledge your feelings without minimizing them? If they do, hold on. That's a green flag, and if they don't, no amount of attraction, history, or potential should make you overlook it. Love isn't supposed to hurt, it's supposed to heal. And emotional maturity is the vessel through which healing love flows. It allows you to exhale, to be fully yourself without fear of rejection, to feel safe even when you're not okay. That kind of love doesn't just happen, it's chosen every single day. It's built through emotional awareness, regulation, and responsibility. And that's what makes it sustainable. You deserve someone who doesn't make you feel like you're hard to love. You deserve someone who doesn't disappear when things get tough. You deserve someone who sees your emotional world not as a burden, but as a beautiful, complex, sacred space they're honored to be invited into. That is what emotional maturity looks like, and once you experience it, you'll never again settle for anything less. It's easy to get caught up in the checklist: tall, stable career, smart, respectful, good with family, talks about the future, prays, works out, has good manners, reads the right books, knows the right words. And you sit across from them at the restaurant, looking for green flags the way someone might look for red ones. Through observation, you're scanning the external, measuring them against an invisible template, waiting for a sign that this one might be different. But real green flags, the ones that matter, they're not found in what someone shows. They're found in what you feel, and not just once, but repeatedly, consistently, especially in the moments when things aren't perfect. Green flags aren't traits on a list. They're the silent confirmations your nervous system receives when your soul isn't being pushed into survival mode. You don't feel the need to prove yourself. You don't feel like you have to shrink to be accepted. You don't have to beg for clarity. You don't have to perform to be chosen, because their energy speaks peace, not pressure. And peace isn't something someone can fake long term. You feel it in the rhythm of the conversation, in how your body relaxes around them, in how they respond to your silence, not just your excitement. It's not about the gestures, it's about the environment they create without even trying. Because here's the truth no one wants to admit: anyone can act like a green flag. People can mimic healthy behaviors, they can talk about therapy, they can use emotionally intelligent words, they can write, post the quotes and follow the pages and say all the right things. But you cannot fake energy. And your body knows it before your mind does. That's why we feel off around someone even when we can't explain it. That's why you might sit across from someone who checks every box and still feel like something isn't safe. That's why green flags are not about what you see, they're about what you sense. But many people were never taught to trust that sense, especially if you grew up around dysfunction, chaos, or emotional neglect. You were conditioned to distrust your own intuition. You were trained to override it. You were taught to stay in relationships that didn't feel good as long as they looked good. You were told to endure, to tolerate, to rationalize your discomfort because nobody's perfect. And in doing so, you learned to silence the very part of you that was trying to protect you. That's why, when you come across someone who's actually safe, you question it. You mistake calm for boring. You think healthy love must be too good to be true. But the truth is, you're just unfamiliar with peace. Real green flags aren't loud. They don't announce themselves. They don't make you feel butterflies every second. They make you feel grounded. They allow you to exhale. They give you the space to show up as you are without fear of being too much. They create emotional room for your flaws, your fears, your past, and still remain present. That's not something you can detect in a dating profile or first impression. That's something you feel over time, in the way their consistency builds trust, in the way their presence creates calm, in the way they lean in instead of walking out when things get hard. You can't intellectualize your way into knowing if someone is right for you. You have to feel your way into it. And that requires you to be connected to yourself. Because if you're still chasing validation, still trying to be liked, still trying to make someone stay instead of asking yourself if you even feel good around them, you'll ignore every signal your body is giving you. You'll choose people based on potential instead of presence. You'll confuse being wanted with being valued. And that's how you end up in a relationship that looks healthy on the outside but drains you on the inside. So how do you feel a green flag? It's in the way they hold space for your emotions, not just your achievements. It's in the way they apologize when they're wrong instead of defending themselves. It's in the way you feel calm when you speak, knowing you won't be judged or shut down. It's in the little moments, when they remember what matters to you, when they ask how you're really doing, when they check in not just when it's convenient, but when it's needed. It's in how they make the effort without being asked, how they protect your peace without being told. These things can't be performed, they're who they are, and the more healed you become, the easier it is to recognize these signals, because healing brings you back to your body, it sharpens your inner compass. It allows you to differentiate between attraction that excites your wounds and connection that nourishes your soul. When you're healed, you stop needing chaos to feel alive. You stop confusing emotional roller coasters for chemistry. You stop holding on to people who don't feel good just because you're afraid of being alone. You start honoring what your body is telling you, and your body always knows. That's why dating isn't about how much someone likes you. It's about how you feel in their presence. Do you feel seen? Do you feel respected? Do you feel at ease? Or do you feel like you're constantly explaining yourself, proving yourself, shrinking yourself? The answers to those questions reveal more than any relationship quiz ever could, because green flags show up not when someone says "I love you," but when they act in love, consistently, quietly, without needing applause. It's how they show up when they're upset. It's how they speak about their exes. It's how they treat people who can't do anything for them. These things are not always visible at first, but they are always felt. And the real work begins with you, because when you become the person who listens to your intuition, who honors your peace, who no longer tolerates emotional unavailability just because it's familiar, you change the game entirely. You stop choosing people based on what you want them to be. You start choosing based on how they make you feel in your nervous system, your spirit, your day-to-day life. That's why green flags can't be studied. They must be experienced. They must be felt. You might meet someone who says all the right things, but somehow you always feel anxious after seeing them. You leave the date feeling confused instead of calm. That's your body speaking. Listen. Or you meet someone who is quiet, kind, and slow to open up. But every time you speak to them, you feel more like yourself. You feel grounded, stable, connected. That's also your body speaking. Listen to that too, because green flags don't come with fireworks. They come with peace, and peace is not a small thing. In a world full of chaos, manipulation, and performance, someone who brings you peace is a rare and powerful gift. So train yourself to feel, not just observe. Ask yourself how you feel during the date, after the conversation, in the silence. Pay attention to the micro moments. How do they handle your vulnerability? Do they meet it with presence or discomfort? Do they respond or react? Do you feel like you can be still around them? Do you feel like your softness is protected, not picked apart? These are the things that matter. These are the things that don't show up on a resume, but they are the very foundation of emotional safety and relational security. Because when it's real, when it's aligned, when it's emotionally mature and safe, it won't just look good. It will feel good, and no, it won't always feel exciting. It won't always feel like a rom-com, but it will feel safe. It will feel steady, and that steadiness will be the soil where something beautiful can grow. Not because it was forced, not because you chased it, but because you chose it with wisdom, with discernment, and with a heart that finally learned how to listen. So many people walk into relationships with a list, a detailed map of everything they want in another person. He must be emotionally intelligent. He must be secure. He must be ambitious but gentle. He must love God. He must protect, provide, understand, lead. She must be loyal. She must be soft. She must be nurturing and healed. She must pray. She must love without games. She must have values. And the list is long and clear, written with conviction, often from a place of having learned what doesn't work. But few people ever stop to ask, am I everything I'm asking for? Because love doesn't reward demands. It mirrors your level of self-awareness. What you attract is often a reflection of what you tolerate, what you believe about yourself, and most importantly, what you have become. You say you want depth, but are you living a shallow life? You say you want someone honest, but are you still lying to yourself? You say you want someone secure, but do you still need constant validation to feel worthy? This isn't judgment. This is an invitation to become conscious, to stop outsourcing the work, to stop searching for healing in someone else and start cultivating it within yourself. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. And if you're still leading with unhealed energy, your relationships will feel like cycles instead of sanctuaries. You'll keep finding yourself in situations that trigger your wounds instead of tending to your growth. You'll call it bad luck or broken people, but often it's just unexamined patterns playing themselves out. And those patterns don't shift until you do. It's easy to want the emotionally available partner, the consistent one, the one who shows up. But have you sat with the parts of you that run from emotional exposure? Have you looked at how you push people away when they get too close? How you intellectualize your feelings instead of expressing them? How you test people instead of trusting them? Because becoming emotionally available isn't just about being open to love. It's about being open to your own vulnerability. It's about telling the truth even when it's terrifying. It's about staying present in discomfort instead of avoiding it through detachment or distraction. You can't attract openness if you keep closing every door the moment your heart feels something real. You want someone stable, someone grounded, but are you grounded, or do you live in extremes up and down? Hot and cold, passionate and then withdrawn? Have you built a life of internal stability, or are you still waiting for someone to anchor you? Because true stability is not found in another person. It's cultivated in the way you show up for yourself, in how you manage your emotions, in how you self-regulate when life gets hard, in how you hold yourself with grace through chaos. When you become stable within, you stop needing others to make you feel safe. You start choosing people who add to your peace, not those you expect to create it. You say you want someone healed, but have you faced your own pain? Or are you still hiding it behind confidence and success and spiritual language? Healing isn't about appearing perfect. It's about being brave enough to acknowledge where you're still bleeding. It's about sitting in the discomfort of your own truth and saying, I won't project this onto another soul. I'll take responsibility for what's mine, because unhealed wounds infect the intimacy they're exposed to. And no matter how good someone is, they can't walk through your healing for you. They can walk with you, but they can't do the work for you. That's yours, and the more whole you become, the less chaos you entertain. The more love you embody, the more love you attract. If you desire a partner who listens, who communicates with clarity and care, then practice being that. Not just when it's easy, but when you're triggered, when you're tired, when your ego wants to win. Be the one who leans in with grace. Be the one who chooses empathy over ego. Become a safe space before asking for one. Because love is not a reward for being good. It's a mirror reflecting who you are willing to become. And if you say you want someone who leads with purpose, then look at your own life. Are you aligned with your purpose? Are you building something that matters? Are you connected to something bigger than yourself? Because power recognizes power. Purpose attracts purpose. You can't want a king or a queen and still think like a victim. You can't build an empire on fantasies. You must become the kind of person who inspires, not just admires. And that begins with aligning your life with the values you say you want to share, a partner with integrity. Then hold your own standards high. Keep your word. Be where you say you'll be. Speak the truth even when it costs you. Make decisions not from impulse, but from alignment, because someone with integrity won't stay where there's inconsistency. They won't beg for honesty. They won't argue over values. They'll simply walk away from anything that doesn't match what they live by. If you want that kind of love, be that kind of love. Integrity is not a performance. It's a posture of the soul. You want someone who chooses you fully, then choose yourself fully. Stop abandoning your needs to keep someone else comfortable. Stop settling for half love just because you're afraid to start over. Stop giving your energy to people who only see your light when it's convenient for them. When you fully choose yourself, your boundaries, your peace, your worth, you teach others how to treat you, and you stop needing to be chosen because you've already done the choosing. You've already decided that you are enough as you are, with or without their validation. You want someone who sees your soul, then stop hiding it. Stop pretending to be what you think they want. Stop editing your truth just to be palatable. Real love requires real presence, and real presence requires real courage. The courage to be seen in your fullness, to show your softness and your strength, to speak your fears and your desires, to let someone witness you, not just your performance. Because the love you're seeking isn't found in perfection. It's found in presence, and you can't receive that if you're still performing. So many people are obsessed with finding the one, but rarely ask, am I being the one? Am I the kind of partner I'm looking for? Not just in appearance or surface behavior, but in energy, in alignment, in values, in emotional maturity. Because the relationship you end up in will rarely exceed the level of healing you've reached within. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming honest, honest with your wounds, honest with your growth, honest with your patterns. That's what makes space for something real. This isn't about self-blame. This is about self-responsibility. It's about owning your part, not so you can fix everything, but so you can stop repeating cycles, so you can stop asking for what you're not willing to be, so you can elevate your energy and attract people who are doing the same. Because when you become what you seek, your standards shift. You stop romanticizing potential. You stop falling for surface. You start seeing people clearly because you're finally seeing yourself clearly. You start recognizing what your soul deserves, not what your wounds desire. You must become what you seek, not to earn love, but to recognize it, because until you become it, you won't even know how to receive it. You'll reject peace because it feels unfamiliar. You'll sabotage consistency because it feels too safe. You'll walk away from the very thing your soul prayed for because your nervous system still craves chaos. But when you heal, when you evolve, when you rise into the version of yourself that lives what you preach, everything changes. You stop chasing love and start attracting it. You stop performing and start connecting. You stop begging and start discerning. The love you seek is not far away, but it's waiting for you on the other side of your becoming, not the becoming that changes who you are, the becoming that returns you to who you were before the world told you to be someone else. Before fear taught you to play small, before pain convinced you that love had to hurt, that version of you, the healed one, the present one, the whole one, is the one who will meet a love that matches her. A love that doesn't just feel good on paper, but feels like home in your soul.